Hey guys, Psychosis here once again. It's been a minute. I always say that, but once again, I'm here with another album review for an album that I was really wanting to listen to and review since it before it even came out, but life's gone in the way. And that album is Distension's "Nothing Comes from Death." And when I first heard the band describe their sound as being inspired by Decapitated, I got really excited because Decapitated is a band I really like. They're a really awesome death metal band, in my opinion. So I was excited to listen to them. And the album came out in August, but like I said, life got in the way. So I just now got to listening to it, and I've got to say it was really good. But first off, though, the most surprising thing about this album is actually its length, not anything else. Like, I thought this album would be like a normal, average, full length album, but this album is only a mere 30 minutes long, which is really short. Because I think the shortest albums I've seen are like 29 minutes, so it's like right on the bar of barely qualifying as an album. Yeah, it's really short. And obviously the songs are really short for death metal because of that. So most of the songs are only like 1 to 3 minutes long. Normally, from what I've seen in death metal, the songs are like 5, 6 minutes long or more, give or take. Yeah, songs are very short, and the album is very short, but it makes up for that. This album has a lot less filler in it than a lot of the stuff I've been listening to lately. And for this year, it's a good album. Really good album. Especially since this is the first album I think this band's ever made. Like, I've never heard this band before. And they just popped up on Facebook one day and were like, oh, we're releasing a new album on this group I'm on Facebook. I'm like, okay. It's all they were inspired by. And I was like, that sounds cool. Like I said. Yeah, album's really good. And on to the main attraction, besides talking about it. So the album art's kind of cool. It's like a face. But the music is awesome. Because the way this band approaches songwriting, I just love this. It might be a basic boy take, but I just really love this kind of sound. I think maybe because I'm a huge metalcore fan beyond anything else. Because this band, they take a more hardcore approach to songwriting compared to most death metal bands. So in most death metal bands, they tend to focus more on speed and aggression and just more fast-paced riffage and solos and stuff. This band decides to take it slower and chunkier, and I just really love that. That might be off-putting to some people, but I love it. So every song just hits. And because of that, this album does even have breakdowns. I thought I heard at least one or two breakdowns on this album that were more akin to a deathcore or a metalcore breakdown than a death metal breakdown. Because that's another thing too. Death metal, they don't really put a lot of emphasis on the breakdown. It's just a bridge. It just drives the song. But compared to what I just mentioned in metalcore or deathcore, where it's like a big part of the song and the most exciting part. But yeah, the music is really awesome. The riffs were heavy. The vocals were awesome because of the chunkiness. There wasn't really any. There was more type growling type vocals and stuff. So not really any high pitched vocals. I mean, they did throw that in a few songs, but they weren't really high pitched or anything. Just a slightly different tone to make it a little more interesting and less monotonous on the vocals. Because the vocals are kind of the same thing, but with death metal, they don't, like I said, it's more about the music. It's a genre where the music's more important than the vocals. So they put a lot of emphasis on songwriting and song structure than anything else. But yeah, awesome vocals, awesome guitar and instrumentals. The music is just awesome. And yeah, for a 30-minute album, this album just goes kicking. It just goes. You start on the one song and you just start bobbing away to it, and then it's over. And yeah, the production's really good too. I mean, they're signed to the Artisan Era, so I was expecting it to be way more produced and polished, but this is a great. It's not crazy wankery tech def like you would see with like Artspire or Obscure or that in that production too. That really clean, well polished production that it's so clean. There's like no errors, and it just feels weird, but sounds good. It's none of that. It just feels like a genuine production and not crazy over the top. Nothing really rough at all. I was able to hear everything. So good production. And yeah, that's how the albums went, just chunk music wise. It just bops and there's just a lot of chunky riffage. It's great. And yeah, very hardcore-ish death metal. I really like the sound. I don't know why I don't listen to death metal bands that are like this more, because I generally really like it, but I find myself listening to a lot of like prog death or technical death metal, or what was my favorite in high school, melodic death metal. But yeah, the album was really hard, and randomly in one of the songs there's a Boomhauer voice snippet from King of the Hill, the show, and it's so random, but it made me laugh in the album because it's the only little snippet they use from anything else in the song on the album, and it happens right in the middle of the song that it's on, and it's just funny because it threw me off guard, and I just had to laugh, and I enjoyed that album more because of that, because I do like that show. Yeah, it was a really funny snippet. And yeah, that's a thing you don't really see in death metal generally, is audio snippets from movies and video games and stuff clipped on. That's more of a non-death metal thing generally, but that's why it's fun. They had that in there. It was the only little thing like that though, and like I said, it was randomly in the middle of the song. And I think that was like the third or fourth song. I could be wrong. I wasn't paying attention to the song titles. They were really good. I think really though this album doesn't really have much errors. It's not perfect. Like obviously the sound isn't something I'll listen to all the time. I have to be doing something like chores or schoolwork or something involving work to listen to as epic background music. I can't. This is not a chill album to listen to at all. So if you were wanting to use it for that, that's not it. And yeah, and also the last song was kind of disappointing. It was good, but it just where it was on the album just kind of disappointed me because it just felt like another song on the album. There wasn't any exciting things and stuff. It just kind of went like, and it just went like that. Rest of the songs on the album just jung 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 jung, jung 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 jung, and then it just ended abruptly. It's kind of a disappointment because the album was awesome, and I thought there'd be like an exciting ending. But they did make up for it. There's at least like 2 or 3 solos on this album. I've heard. And the solos aren't crazy technical, but they're very well written in my opinion. But to each their own. So it's not some people. It's whatever you like. But I like the solos, despite how brief they are. They're a nice addition. Yeah, I really like the chunky hardcoreness, and the end track is just eh. only because I thought they would do something more than just to the plan, basically. On the final track, I thought they'd have a way more explosive ending or a slower ending, just something really cool and different to end the album off. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the music. Oh yeah, and one more thing. Also, this album, I kind of had fatigue listening to it towards the end. Like, I enjoyed this whole album, but the second half to me is weaker, generally because I got more fatigued listening to it. I don't know why. I just wasn't feeling it very much. Like the first half, I was super into the first half, especially the first 4 or 5 songs, and then after that, I just kind of was like, this is starting to get tiring. Yeah, music wise, very good. As I said, production's really good. The album art is pretty cool. I like the light brownish and white and black with the skullish face. It's kind of a cool album art. But yeah, really awesome album. It's awesome release by this band for a very first album. It's very impressive. I say first because I don't know if this band's released anything else, but very impressive. And the fact they got on the Artisan era is pretty cool because I do like that label and the releases they have been that pop up on their label. But yeah, really awesome album. A lot different than what I normally listen to these days in terms of death metal. Very chunky, more chunky, has some hardcore elements, so it's more akin to like a deathcore album than a death metal album. Yeah, if you like the chunky, slower death metal, this album is for you. I really liked it. Riffs were awesome. Production's awesome. Solos are pretty cool. The Boomhauer reference, like I said, with voice snippet was really fun. But yeah, the only real complaints I have with this album is it's very short album length and it just gets tiring near the end. And yeah, that's my thoughts on it. For my final rating, I will give it a 9 out of 10. Very impressive album, very impressive debut album. Highly recommend this one if you are a death metal fan. And yeah, this album is definitely a highlight of this year. Not sure if it's a favorite, will be a favorite album of the year type deal, but it's very high up there. Definitely an honorable mention, at least, on my personal list. But yeah, that's my review of Distension. Nothing Comes from Death. 9 out of 10, really awesome album. And yeah, that's my review, like I said. Like I said, guys, if you want me to do a review an album or have a request for an album for me to review, I will review them. I enjoy talking about music. I just don't have the time really. Yeah, if you really have an album you want me to review, I will review it. Just recommend it down in the comments, and also comment any constructive criticisms or just anything really. I guess comments make my day. And yeah, that was my review for Dissension's Death Comes From Nothing. I look forward to seeing you in another video, or whenever I make another review again. Goodbye.